Welcome to Explore English Churches, and today we are in the small village of Clifton Reynes in Buckinghamshire, and we've come to explore St Mary the Virgin's Church. The village itself sits just outside of the market town of Olney, which is only about, 3 or 4 miles away, and this church here is actually a 12th century church, and I do know that there are some very, very interesting items inside, and we're going to take a wander round, and I'll try and show you as many as I possibly can. The church sits on the outside of the village, as most churches do, ever since I think that came around ever since sort of the Black Death or the plague, and people didn't want to live next door to the graveyard after the plague, so they burnt their houses and moved slightly further into the village, or out of the village, whichever it may have been. Ooh. The church itself isn't that big, and the oldest part of the church is actually the tower. The aisles are 13th century, or the main aisle is 13th century, and the chancel was rebuilt in the 14th century around about 1360. What I do like about this church is the stonework. And although it's obviously been restored at some point, but I do love the stonework in this church. If we take a closer look and we go up towards the aisle, you'll see what I mean. It's not the most ornate stained glass windows I've ever seen, but it's plain and it's pleasant. But going back to the stonework that I was talking about, and you see how smooth the stonework is. I don't know how well it'll come out on the video, but yeah, it's not, not all churches are like that. Here we have 1, 2, 3, 4, I think they call them sedelias. Well, there's the sedelias. And here, I think underneath here, we do indeed. That is where they would wash the items from Mass or service, whichever you wish to call it. It is a pretty church, I will say that. Very, very pretty. And we do have, oops a daisy, there's the steps again, have got me. We do have here some quite amazing monuments. Now, the first one here relates to this chap here, and he was Thomas Reynes III, and here he is laying here with his good lady, and he was a knight of the Shires, and he was also the constable of Dover Castle. Now, these chaps, like obviously in the day, most of the land was always owned by these people. Here we have some heraldic shields. I'll try and hold on that to the moment. Okay, and those shields, I do believe, are then represented on the other side of this tomb. Let's take a wander round, because there's another interesting thing I would like to point out. Is that this chap and his good lady have effigies of their dogs. And this chap here, okay, he obviously cared for him a great deal to have him at the foot of his thing. And on his collar is his name, Bo. And his good lady, these look like a couple of, well, dachshunds, I would have said. Could be wrong. But yeah, how cool is that? I do like to see these in churches, and as I say, you're always surprised what you find in churches. I'm always surprised. And what we also have, we have some wooden effigies here. These, it says on the plaque here, were built around about the same time as the chapel. This chappie here, you can see he's got his sword. And again, we have the dogs at the foot. They're just purely effigies, I believe, and not necessarily tombs. And it's most unusual that they're wood. And again, over here, we have yet two more. Again with the dogs. Now this one's a little bit higher. And he's holding a shield. Now these families, as they used to in the day, they would all marry into local landed gentry or squires that owned more land, and so that they could extend their wealth and their properties. These, I believe, are early 14th century. I'm not sure. This chap here, he's been lost his head there a little bit, that fella. And here on the side of the tomb we do have the heraldic shields, although I don't think they come out particularly well. That one does. You can see there's a couple of goats there. But if you think that these are, what, 700 years old, it's hardly surprising that they've worn away. Let's continue having a wander round, because as I say, there's quite a lot of interesting things in this church. Here up the top we have another coat of arms, and we have over here a monument to a chappie, Alexander Small, Esquire, 1752, and he was 82, this chap, when he died, so he had a very long life back in the day. I noticed there's some, can't quite read that, but it's some note about Omni. Again, maybe you can see these walls better. As I say, they're quite smooth. We have several other monuments on the walls. And again, let's just have another look at this chap's tomb here, at some of the wonderful figures that have been carved. Now, whether they refer to the family I'm not sure, but they're always interesting to look at. And here again, here's some shields of various, and each manor would have had its own shield. And so this chap basically was collecting the shields. I believe he was married twice. On the floor we have a couple of brasses. They obviously look like nuns. And over here we have a knight. And part of him's missing. And you know I can never read these. So, that is John Reynes. Wow, the way they used to write them, that writing back in the day. And here we have some more heraldic shields. Quite interesting. Truly, truly interesting. Let's take a wander down this side. Sitting up the top there, we're being watched by an owl. Can you believe that? Let's see if I can. Yep, I don't know if you can see the owl. Someone's obviously put him up there to keep an eye on things. I must admit, it did scare me the first time I saw him. But for a tiny little village, this is quite a large church. Let's have a look behind this curtain and see what the door looks like. Oh, it's quite good. I like the shape of it. It's quite a beautiful door. Yep. I don't know how old that is. I've no idea. It's got a modern lock on there, but an old one here. Yep. That's looking back down. Massive arches. And again up there, I think that's another owl. Let me see if I can zoom into the chap. That's not coming out terribly well, is it? Yeah. Rather scary. Someone likes birds. As I say, this is the oldest part of the church, the tower itself. And here we go, through the curtains, people, like we always go through the curtains. I noticed here we have another wonderful coat of arms. Yeah, I love to see these. I really do. I don't know why they've hidden this one away in below the tower, because it's quite extraordinary. It's got a date of 1806 on there. And the iron stairs up to the tower, and again the ropes for the bells. And how many do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's possibly a peal, as they say, of 6 bells. These ones are slightly different. I don't know. Maybe someone can put something in the comments and explain those to me, because I don't know. I haven't seen those before. Maybe they got some smaller bells. We have something up here about the belfry is part of the church and is consecrated to the service of Almighty God. The bells are instruments of sacred music and should be to the parish at large what the organ is to the congregation assembled in the church. Wow, get a load of that. The ringers shall be members of the church and shall elect a leader or foreman. Everyone loves rules, don't they? Rules and regulations. even if we want to come and ring the bells in the church. I've got to be careful here, there's a step. We have another exquisite stained glass window up there, but I don't think this is going to zoom in far enough for us to be able to have a good look at it. It's not terribly good. And the roof, and if I come back far enough you just may see that other owl. It is a really nice church. Some churches you go in, you get a good feel for, and some you don't. But yep, this one has got a very good feel about it. We have another window here. Oh, it's going to be too bright. The sun's doing really out well today. Strange for autumn. And here we can sort of peek down and have a look at the vicar giving the sermon. And what we have over here is obviously the preaching box. Let's go up the steps as we normally do. Yes, it's a very, very interesting church. I love to look at them. We've got a couple more stained glass windows over there. And there's some sort of block over there with a date of 1671 on it. The font over there, which I haven't mentioned as yet, looks quite interesting. So let's take a wander down to the font and see what we can find. Here, this is a very, very nice font, and it dates like somewhere about the 14th century. It's octagonal, and it's decorated with foliage and a variety of heads. So let's have a little look. Well, when you think that's 14th century, it's hardly surprising it's worn. Ooh, the sun's got us there, people. And Steve's falling over again. Nothing unusual about that. Now, I did read somewhere, some time back, that the idea of putting a lid on the fonts came in around about the Victorian times, and it was something to do with the trying to stop the, let's have a little peek in there, that's all lead lined, yeah, as most of them are. But as I understood, it was something to do with trying to keep the water clean. But yeah, that's quite nice. This chap is well worn away. And when you think, as I say, that dates back to the 14th century, I just love the history of these churches. To think that they've stood for so long. This I actually like, beautiful colours. Look at that. There's a little sort of an emblem or shield up there, I can't make out what it is. No. And we have some nice tiles around the floor and the font. It is a lovely, lovely church, and if you get the chance, I highly recommend that you come and visit. And we're being looked at again. Ooh. Yes, it is a wonderful church. sure there's many parts or many pieces in here that I've missed. But yeah, you have to really spend some time to study and have a good, well, hunt around. Pews themselves don't look that interesting, but the rest of the church, without doubt, most certainly is. Well, I do hope you've liked this video. Please like, subscribe, ring the bell, and watch out, because I'm going to do a drone video of this church from the outside. So keep your eyes open for that on the channel. Thank you very much for watching, and take care. See you soon. Bye.